from the College by the Lake, Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Local, regional, national, and international guests discussing the issues and topics affecting the way you live are on Forum, the North Idaho College Public Forum, with your host and moderator, political scientist Tony Stewart.
Welcome to today's program. After doing this program for 27 years, we never have a year in which we don't discuss some topic that's never been on the program before. That is one of our excitements, that we can find new topics, although every year we repeat some topics also. Today our topic is the history of the American flag. We have two guests. First of all, I'd like to welcome to the program Lester Smith. He is the author of a project called Flag 2000. Mr. Smith, welcome to our program. We're very pleased to have you here, and we look forward to discussing your knowledge and interest in the American flag. And next to him is our second guest, Mark Sherling, who is the director of the project Flag 2000. And Mark, we have talked on several occasions before today's program, as well as with Lester Smith. And also welcome to the program. We look forward to the research you've done and to inform our viewers about some of the characteristics. In 30 minutes, we can't cover everything, but we're very happy to follow our format. And I'm very pleased to welcome to the program, as always, our regular panelist, Janelle Burke, who is an attorney in the state of Idaho, and I shall ask Janelle to commence today's questioning.
This is a very interesting subject, the American flag, and it's one that tugs at the heartstrings of many of our viewers, I'm sure, as it does with Tony and I. Lester, can you tell us how you became interested in working on a project about the American flag?
Well, of course, there's several parts to that. One, I was in the Navy during the war, and a lot of things that have happened since then.
And tell us what war that was.
I was in World War II. I joined the Navy in 1942, shortly after Pearl Harbor. And at the time I joined what was supposed to be the Naval Air Corps, I didn't know where the fleet was, and neither did anybody else. I think most of it was at the bottom of Pearl Harbor. So the very early parts of the war were especially very bloody. And myself, I know so many people, young people then, in their teens practically, in early 20s, like myself. I was 21 at the time, that have fought and died for their country during some very bad, bloody battles. I wasn't at Iwo Jima, thank goodness. I don't think anybody'd want to be there, but I think that the spirit of all battles, I think, were culminated in that one, and you could tell that by the tremendous respect that they had for the raising of the flag. Most of those fellows that did that at that time are dead now. I don't know if any of them are alive, actually, but it was done under tremendous cost. Thousands of lives were gone forever. Brothers and husbands and sons and everything. I mean, it was very devastating. Thousands. And
so the flag
they
was
paid a big price for that, to be raised on that. A tremendous price, just on that one battle. But it seemed to be something that represented all battles, the battle of all battles, so to speak, because of the fact that other parts of the world were, where they have been, and then it came to this. So people that have died, I feel an obligation to them, because I'm one of the few that is living that was in World War II. Most of them are gone now. A big part of them are gone now, and especially, of course, those that did die then. I feel an obligation to try to bring back the respect and the honor that is due the flag. It seems to be lost today.
And Mark, you have a special interest in the flag as well. Can you share with our viewers that interest?
Besides the fact that I met Lester because of an event in my life, I can tell you that my son gave the ultimate sacrifice, in my opinion, similar to people that have died for the flag and for those rights. He was an American child. He was raised with the rights of highest, noblest, purest principles. He respected, he enjoyed life, and he fought for it. And he fought for those principles. He was a Boy Scout. And that connection alone makes me even more so interested in the flag. Not just interested, it's a passion, it's a crusade now.
But you have a flag at your house?
Actually, I'm probably the only one in the entire mobile home park that I live in that actually has a flag on a flagpole raised in respect, as an American. And it's surprising. There's 50-some homes in that park.
Let's get into your project about how you want to educate here on the program today people who don't have as much history as you do concerning the American flag. Lester, I'm going to start with you, if I may. From a publication you gave me, even though we all see the flag and we see the white stripes and the red stripes and the blue and the stars, some Americans, particularly younger Americans, may not know what those mean. So let's take our people through this. Let's start with the white stripes. And what is the meaning of the white stripes on the American flag?
Well, this in the past has been rather nebulous. Different ones, you go to different places for different ideas on it, and there doesn't seem to be a standard. What we would like to do in this Flag 2000 project is to definitely establish the definition of what the white part should be, the red part, and the blue part, and the stars, and all of that. Make it once and for all.
Let's go through those right now because time is running fast.
Right. The white part being referring to the highest, purest, noblest purposes of the human race. In saying that, you say everything. That's what people have fought for thousands of years, and it agrees with virtually every religious principle that there is. And that's something that's very important. And the blue part, standing for, of course, for those that subscribe to that, and they're dedicated to that, and it's a memorial to those who died for it, which could be your own mother or whomever. It doesn't have to be a person with just carrying a gun.
No, that's the red
part. But by being
a
memorial, then they can't burn the flag.
That's the red stripe.
Right.
That's a red stripe.
Right.
Pardon me.
Right. I'm trying to help you out here.
Yep. I'm so excited. You
this
say
is
I
an education for both of us.
And
if everything's changed now, I'm going to change too.
Now remember, kids, haste makes waste.
So that's the red stripe.
That's the red stripe,
and
right.
it represents, as you said, all human beings that support these honorable principles.
Right.
And especially those who have died in support of things like democracy.
Because then as a memorial, it would be given the same protection as anybody's tombstone or any other memorial.
There's federal laws protecting the memorials that we have existent right now, and we're not asking for anything to change. We're simply asking for those federal laws to be instigated on a memorial.
Okay.
Right, and a memorial I'd like to mention, because I've been there, it's the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. When you've been there once, you're there 1,000 times afterwards, at least myself. I didn't walk away from it and forget it. I still see the thing close up and have a more bonding with all that it stands for.
Let's now move to the blue part of the flag. And
that would be relative to the, to the blue part now would be the horizon, the future. That which all of these dreams stand for. And the stars, they represent each state, or should represent each state relative to their admittance to the Union. And when I've given talks to the kids, I'd say, do you realize that one of those stars is your star? And they'll look at, what? And I say, yes, the star that represents Idaho, that's your star. It's represented by Idaho, but that is your star. And gee whiz, when the kids say, they hear that, they've never heard that before. Why? Because we don't think of it that way. But if we write it down and say, hey, this is what we want a proclamation of this, then it becomes so. And why not? It bonds the person, which it should, directly to the flag, because it bonds them to the principles for what it stands for. And that is something that we need today more than ever.
Mark, I'll come back to you with what we just heard from Lester concerning the different parts of the flag and what it represents. I know that this is new to you, the research, and this is something Lester's been interested in crusading for a long time, but you've been really moving fast in your research. Would you share with our viewers what little history we have, or if you go to libraries and research materials or internet, whatever, share with the viewers what you have not found.
Actually, I found a lack of information. It's been very difficult to acquire, even through facets of American Legion, to get information for me so I can understand and actually develop more of a passion for it. Educating myself, Lester is helping educate me, and I want to help educate people. This is a necessity. We don't know that much. If you call one of your senators' offices right now, or Congress, or any of the people that should know, they don't have the information. It's not like they have a brochure that they can say, okay, what's your address? Let me send you the information. This is important for us. This is important for you. Here's some information. So therefore, it's a need to develop this and actually have this available to these people, so that when they ask, what is the American flag? What does it stand for? How do we get information? They can say, well, Flag 2000 will have that information for you, or actually, better yet, they will have right in their office a brochure that we've put to them, so that they can just say, mail it to you. What's your address?
Okay, thank you. Janelle Burt.
I know that some of our viewers are going to be inspired to want to fly the flag, but I have some questions about just what do you do with the flag. So let's start first. Before the show, you were telling us there's something rather unique about the American flag in comparison to many other countries. Mark, do you want to share that with our viewers? What's unique about the U.S. flag as compared with other countries?
Well,
most countries have.
In fact, all other countries have two flags. They actually have their country flag that they fly, and then they have a country flag with an additional emblem or some sort of a recognition that actually establishes a separate identification, which be it the hierarchy of their country. America is the only one that doesn't. They have one set standard flag and very little information about it.
Lester, what about half-mast and half-staff? What's the difference?
Well, there's a big difference between half-mast and half-staff. As you know, a ship has big things that sticks up or holds. Those are masts, and so a mast is what is aboard a ship. So if you're on board a ship, you run it up the mast. But if you're out here in the school yard or county courthouse or whatever, it's a staff then, and not a mast. But a mast is what is aboard a ship. So even if you had a canoe, I imagine, and you stuck it, that would become a mast. But a mast is when you're on the water usually and aboard a boat, ship, whatever.
So if the flag is flying and it is at half-staff somewhere, what does that usually signify?
Usually that is by the directive of a president or something like that when someone has died. Also, another thing that a flag can be used for is to turn it upside down for distress. That can mean surrender if you're in an enemy situation, but also if you're, say, up in the hills, and you're lost or whatnot. If you have a flag with you, if you put a flag upside down and then they happen to see that and flying around looking for you, they know that an upside down flag is also meant for distress.
It's a universal symbol.
It's a universal symbol.
So it's recognized anywhere in the world as a person in distress.
Now, what about if I'm going to a parade or something like that? What's appropriate when the flag passes?
Obviously, we're not suggesting that you worship the flag, but there is a certain reverence that's due it because of what it represents. And therefore, I believe the proper approach to if the flag comes by you is to stand out of respect and to remove your hat.
Put your hand over your heart.
Yeah.
Obviously, now these are things we're learning and educating myself. Lester suggested too that we put your hand over your heart. My understanding is that you put your hand over your heart when you're actually saying the Pledge of Allegiance. Mm-hmm. As far as a salute, and that would be a salute in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. The reason I suggest that is because of our definition that we're coming up with. you're then pledging your heart to the purest, highest purposes, noblest purposes of the human race. You see, that gives you reason
Yes.
for something from your heart. Right now, you would wonder what you're giving, outside of, say, to a flag by itself. But when you have a definition for a flag and you know that definition, then it is entirely different to say right from the heart. And I think that most people would subscribe to the idea of giving from their heart the highest, purest, noblest purposes of the human race.
Now, if you want to fly a flag, what is appropriate? And how do you do that? Can you do it on a flag pole in your yard? Can you do it attached to your house? You see people have standards that they put their flag in, particularly for special occasions, special holidays. Mm-hmm. What can you do?
You can actually have a flag mounted on a pole, on a wall, either standing where the lines run vertical to the ground. I guess it would be vertical, and or on a wall itself, on a straight, flat surface.
Now, what about if your flag gets to a point where it's no longer usable? In other words, perhaps if you've got one that's on a flagpole, sometimes they get tattered from the wind. Mm-hmm. The wind will buffet them and they will finally get tattered. What happens then? What's the appropriate procedure?
Actually, the American Legion has a program available where they actually request, if you have a flag of this nature that's been worn and tattered, that you actually remove it and present it to them. They have a formal procedure that they actually retire the flag. And it's the only time that it's recognized that you can actually burn the flag. It is done by the Boy Scouts, usually, on a formal ceremony, directly right in connection with the American Legion.
And of course, you never allow the flag to touch the ground. I think, especially with a definition like we have of the highest, purest, noblest purposes, you wouldn't that type of a symbol to touch the ground, to be soiled. So you don't allow, when you're taking a flag down, you don't allow it to touch the ground at all. That is part of the courtesy that is extended to the flag and should be.
In the material that you gave me, Lester, you have a statement that you have written, and you call it In Trust.
Yes.
Would you just share some ideas from that? You've already mentioned a couple things, but I know this is several paragraphs, and our viewers would appreciate some research you've done. I'll just start out by saying on the very first line you say, in tightly sealed coffin, noble patriots, dedication forever remains unrequited.
Unrequited.
Yeah, yes, and then you go on with our words and deeds seldom honor our heritage. Would you just share some thoughts from this? And I just did a little excerpt from your statement.
Well, this is exactly what I'm here. We were talking about my dedication to those that are not here. So that first paragraph, in essence, is a very strong part of my dedication, because we owe so much to those that have died, and it is unrequited, which means it's unrepaid. We owe them something. When somebody dies for you, don't you owe them something? And when 1 million people die for you, don't you owe them something? I think that we do. I know that we do, because when I see these young people out there, maybe they have fought for their girlfriend, but that's a high, pure, noble purpose. And maybe they fought for their mother, maybe they fought for their family, whatever. But I think that because those are high purposes, and that's what they fought for, I think that we owe them a tremendous amount, and we can never pay them. And at the time that was written in 1976, people were burning the flag and showing so much disrespect and so forth. And so I just couldn't allow that to go by. So I wrote that. And as you know, In Trust has been in the schools in Enumclaw for quite a few years now, and they give $100 first prize, $50 second prize to the one that recites that the best each year. But it is a tremendous debt, paid for in so many ways. How about those that didn't die, that maybe even today as old as I am, still in a hospital, a veterans hospital. And who's seeing them? Probably nobody, in all probability. They're warehoused someplace waiting. Their life completely shattered, and all they got is maybe 4 walls to look at. But they fought and died very slowly, and are still dying for those principles that we all hold to a high self-esteem, which is the highest, noblest purposes of the human race.
Lester, so you are indicating that the flag that you studied so much, that the flag is a symbol in which, by doing what you're advocating, sends that message and that honor to all of those and all those actions. It's a symbol that can be used
right
for that purpose.
It's the only one we have. Mm-hmm. It's literally the only thing that connects us from my generation to their generation. We don't have the charging up mountains with the flag. We don't have thousands of people dying right now. We don't have that. We don't have a connection between our generation, even my son's generation. And because we don't have that connection, we need this.
I have one more question. I'll go back to Janelle. And Mark, this is for you. In addition to all the history that you want to teach about the flag, the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag is a ceremony that's conducted daily at many places, at luncheons, at banquets, and at school, and so forth. Would you share with us what you think is in this effort that you've got going, that the more we learn about the flag, what does that do to the pledge, as it's said, for particularly young people that do it in school? Does it have more meaning because they have more history behind it? And secondly, I'd ask, does the pledge also give another kind of honor to the flag, and what Lester has talked about today?
Obviously, our intent is not to change the way we see the flag.
Right.
It's to re-identify the purpose for the flag. And if you identify, personal connect to the flag, a child, when you say the Pledge of Allegiance, it's no longer distant. It's no longer Lester's generation. It's not that far away. It's right here, right now, and the future. Children don't have that. Even adults don't have that.
So many times we get involved in ceremony. I've come to the conclusion that ceremony is important in life and for societies, and it's a cement that brings people together. But as you do that, it can become just a tradition, automatic.
Correct.
If you don't know the meaning behind it.
Correct.
And so you're saying this would help with the Pledge of Allegiance if there's more knowledge? Lester, would you?
I believe that. I don't just say it. I believe it.
When especially if the youth of today are involved in this definition, after all, they're the ones that's going to be the best beneficiaries. The younger that they are, the more they're going to identify with this meaning. Those that are older now, 30, 40, 50 years old, they're used to the old meaning of nothing, of just being practically nothing more than a piece of fabric to many of them, unfortunately, except to those of us that have been through the hell of battle. We don't look upon it as just a piece of cloth. But we have to reaffirm these things by putting a definition into it, because we owe it to not only those that have fought and died for it in the past, but we owe it to this young generation coming up, to those that are not even in school yet. We owe them something for what these other people have fought for. They fought for those principles. These young people coming up deserve that. We seem to be getting away from it.
Janelle Burke.
I think we've talked a little bit. Lester's been very eloquent in expressing the heritage that the flag represents. And we've also talked just a little bit about the hope that the flag represents for the future. Mark, my question is for you. With young people, I'm taking it that you're thinking about Boy Scouts would be a good place, education is a good place. Where do
Don't
you
leave
think...
out Girl Scouts.
And Girl Scouts as well. Campfire Girls, all the various children's
You could literally identify every
organizations.
Correct.
And that's the kind of places that you would want to be involved in teaching young people about the flag.
Right now, there's some say there's upwards of 100 million children out here in our society in educational courses right now. And that's not including in the next year how many will be going into those programs. if you try at one time to have 100 million children make one issue, that's exactly what's going to happen.
And then what we end up with are patriots.
Correct. And they're patriots because they want to be, because they have purpose, because they have self-esteem, because they feel they're somebody. Not only that, they've made history. They are now establishing a new frontier for children. They can't vote. They don't get to go out and vote and change and make a president or vote their friend in office. They don't have a voice that way. This is their chance.
But they can participate in some kind of a program, learn about the flag,
Correct.
Right.
and begin to identify with the flag
Correct.
as being something that is...
Exactly. It's a re-identification and an education all at once. In fact, they're going to be educating the adults. The children will educate.
Wasn't some book somewhere said, and the children shall lead the way?
Mm.
I think that us adults haven't done a very good job, perhaps, and maybe we should give those kids a chance to lead the way into the year 21st century. Many of us attempted to do a good job. Our job isn't complete, and it won't be complete until we identify the flag and give those kids a chance. But it's going to be their chance.
We're just really almost out of time. I have one more question for Mark as we're about to close the program. One point I want to get across from what you both have said to me, your program, it's not in any way a suggestion that you're trying to do something compulsory and demand that people do certain things, but through the educational process, you're trying to educate.
And at no cost to anybody.
Yes.
Literally no cost to
But through the educational process on a voluntary basis,
Correct.
getting people to appreciate
Correct.
and being willing to participate
Correct.
if they choose.
If the Boy Scouts can go out and sell chocolate, and the Girl Scouts can go out and sell candy and cookies, and the children from any school anywhere can sell sausages to raise funds for themselves, why can't they participate in this, which makes them feel good?
And yet we leave, because of democracy and the flag represents is so precious, that if there's someone for religious reasons, whatever, do not give a pledge, that is their choice to make.
We don't exclude anybody.
Right.
We include them all.
And they make their choice.
They make their choice.
On that note, I have to bring the program to conclusion. On behalf of Janelle Burke and our staff, we really thank both of you for being here. It's been enjoyable, and again, good luck to you.
We thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed our program today, and I'd like to invite you to be with us again next week at the same time, and we will discuss yet another issue. Until then, please have a good week. I am Tony Stewart.
The North Idaho College Public Forum was videotaped live from the studios of Instructional Technology on the campus of North Idaho College for viewing at this more appropriate time. We invite you to join us again next week for another all-new edition of the North Idaho College Public Forum on this public television station.